Chosen one, hear this carefully. What you are experiencing right now is not emotional manipulation, not coincidence, not a moment created by atmosphere or music. Something deeper is happening beneath the surface of your awareness. There are moments when heaven interrupts routine, not loudly, not violently, but intentionally. This is one of those moments. Your spirit did not stop here by accident. Your attention did not pause randomly. God allowed your path to intersect with this message because something connected to your obedience has reached a critical point. There are times when God speaks softly, and there are times when He presses firmly. Urgency in the Spirit does not mean panic. It means timing. Heaven is highlighting a moment that carries consequence. God is not demanding perfection from you, but He is inviting participation. What He is placing before you right now is not just information. It is an assignment wrapped in discernment. Something is being asked of you, not because you are the only option God has, but because you are positioned to respond. God often moves in ways that bypass human logic. He stirs hearts before He explains details. He calls attention before He gives clarity. And many miss divine moments because they wait to understand fully before they obey. But obedience in the kingdom has never required full visibility. It requires trust. Faith does not mean knowing everything. It means moving even when only the next step is illuminated. There is a woman connected to this moment, and her presence in your awareness is not symbolic. She is not a concept. She is not a distraction. She is part of a divine intersection. When God brings someone into your spirit with weight, it is because what is attached to them matters in heaven. God does not randomly burden hearts. When He allows you to feel concern, responsibility, or stirring for someone, it is because He is inviting you into His process. Understand this truth deeply. God is fully capable of doing everything Himself. He does not lack power, resources, or ability. He could intervene instantly without involving anyone. Yet throughout Scripture and throughout history, God chooses partnership. Not because He needs help, but because He desires alignment. But He releases His will through willing vessels. He moves His power through obedient hands. He delivers answers to prayer through people who are attentive to His voice. This is why moments like this carry weight. You are not being asked to save anyone. You are being asked to obey. The outcome belongs to God. The response belongs to you. Obedience is not about control. It is about cooperation. When God asks you to move, He has already accounted for your capacity. He does not assign what He will not empower. Many people misunderstand destiny. They believe it arrives fully formed, obvious, and celebrated. But destiny is most often activated quietly. It begins with moments that feel inconvenient, uncomfortable, or easily dismissed. God hides great doors behind small acts of obedience. What seems minor in the natural can be massive in the spirit. What looks like a simple decision can unlock seasons you could never reach through effort alone. Scripture shows us repeatedly that God tests hearts before He expands influence. He watches how people respond when no one is watching, when there is no applause, when there is no guarantee of return. Faithfulness in unseen moments reveals readiness for visible ones. When God asks you to help serve or move without recognition, He is not diminishing you. He is preparing you. This moment is not about charity. It is about alignment. It is about positioning yourself in the flow of what God is already doing. Heaven is not asking you to figure everything out. Heaven is asking you to trust enough to move. There are blessings that are activated only through compassion. There are doors that open only when obedience comes first. Some breakthroughs are delayed not because God is unwilling, but because obedience has not yet been released. You may feel resistance in your mind. Questions may arise. Doubt may attempt to slow you down. That is normal. The mind often resists what the Spirit recognizes. But do not let logic silence conviction. Discernment does not always come with comfort. Sometimes it comes with tension because growth requires stretching. God is watching how you respond when He nudges you without explaining everything. He is observing not your words, but your actions. Belief is proven through movement. Faith becomes visible through obedience. When you move in alignment with God's timing, things begin to shift that you cannot force or manufacture. This woman's situation matters now. Timing matters. Needs unattended can deepen. Moments ignored can quietly pass. God is merciful, but He is also precise. He does not create urgency without reason. Urgency is often heaven's way of protecting outcomes. Delay does not cancel destiny, but it can complicate the journey. Obedience keeps the path clear. Think about Esther. She was placed strategically, not accidentally. Her silence would not have stopped God's plan, but it would have removed her from participation. God's purposes will always continue, but personal alignment determines personal involvement. The same principle applies here. You are positioned for a reason. What you do next determines how this moment becomes part of your story. This is not manipulation. God does not coerce, He invites. He allows you to choose because choice reveals the heart. When you respond willingly, you align yourself with His nature. God is compassionate, responsive, and attentive. When you move in those same qualities, you mirror His heart on earth. There is also something God is forming within you right now. Every assignment carries a dual impact. It affects others and it shapes you. Obedience refines character. Compassion deepens discernment. Faith grows when action is required without certainty. God is preparing you for what is ahead by how you handle what is in front of you. Do not underestimate this moment. Do not dismiss the stirring. Do not assume someone else will respond. When God places something before you, it is because you are capable of carrying it. You are not lacking. You are not late. You are not unqualified. God equips through obedience, not before it. What you release in obedience will return multiplied. What you sow in faith will grow into favor. What you do quietly will echo loudly in the Spirit. Heaven records faithfulness long before the world recognizes fruit. This is not about pressure. It is about privilege. God is inviting you into partnership. He is allowing you to be part of something that matters beyond what you can currently see. When you say yes to God's prompting, you say yes to alignment, flow, and acceleration. This moment is forming a crossroads. One path leads to hesitation, the other to movement. One keeps things unchanged, the other unlocks momentum. Heaven is not forcing your hand, but it is watching your response. Trust the stirring. Honor the nudge. Move with obedience. Because when you respond to God's timing, He responds to your future. And what feels like a small step right now may be the very key that unlocks everything you have been praying for. There is another layer to this moment that you must understand, because what God is doing is not only external. He is not just orchestrating encounters, needs, or assignments around you. He is also exposing patterns within you. Moments like this reveal how deeply you trust God when outcomes are not guaranteed. They show whether your faith is conditional or surrendered. Many people say they trust God, but trust is only proven when obedience requires release without assurance. God often uses people to test posture before He releases promise. Not because He needs information, but because you need formation. The way you respond to this moment reflects how you will handle greater responsibility. Destiny is not just about arrival. It is about capacity. God expands capacity through obedience that costs something. When obedience feels easy, it rarely stretches faith. But when it requires vulnerability, sacrifice, or humility, it begins to reshape the inner structure of the soul. What you may not realize is that this moment has already been preceded by preparation. God does not suddenly demand something without first equipping you internally. The reason this message resonates is because your spirit has already been trained to hear. You have been through seasons of isolation, misunderstanding, pruning, or delay. Those seasons were not punishment, they were preparation. They refined your sensitivity to God's voice so that when urgency came, you would recognize it. God speaks to those who are listening. And listening is not about sound, it is about surrender. You have learned, often through hardship, how to discern the difference between noise and instruction. That discernment is not accidental. It is the result of hidden growth. This moment is drawing on what God has already deposited within you. There is also a truth you must confront honestly. Many miss divine moments because they fear being taken advantage of. They confuse discernment with self-protection. While wisdom is necessary, fear masquerading as caution can silence obedience. God is not asking you to abandon wisdom. He is asking you to trust His leading above your discomfort. True discernment does not harden the heart, it sharpens it. Helping her does not mean you lose. Obedience in God's economy never results in loss. What appears like subtraction becomes multiplication when God is involved. The enemy often lies by framing obedience as depletion. But God replenishes what is released in alignment with His will. He does not drain, He restores. There are spiritual transactions that only happen when faith is expressed through action. Prayer prepares the ground, but obedience plants the seed. Some of the things you have been praying for are not delayed because God is silent, but because movement is required on your part. Heaven is waiting for alignment, not effort. One obedient step can unlock what years of striving could not. This is why the Spirit emphasizes timing. Timing is sacred in the kingdom. God operates in seasons, windows, and appointed moments. When a window is open, action flows easily. When it closes, resistance increases. This does not mean opportunity disappears forever, but it does mean momentum shifts. God is offering you flow, not friction. There is also something profound happening spiritually that you may not feel emotionally. Your obedience affects more than what you see. When you respond to God's prompting, you shift spiritual atmospheres. You create access points for God's power to move through your life. Obedience realigns things that have been stuck, stagnant, or delayed. God is also teaching you how He works through you. Every assignment increases clarity. Every response sharpens hearing. As you obey, discernment becomes stronger. Confidence in God's voice grows. You begin to recognize His patterns. This is how spiritual maturity develops, not through information, but through experience. This moment is also about trust in God's character. When God asks you to move without revealing the full picture, He is asking who He is, not just what He does. Faith anchored in outcomes is fragile. Faith anchored in God's nature is unshakable. God is faithful, just, and intentional. He does not mislead His servants. You are not responsible for managing results. You are responsible for obedience. God handles impact. God handles protection. God handles multiplication. When you try to control outcomes, you step out of faith and into anxiety. When you trust God with the results, peace guards your heart even when the path feels uncertain. This woman's connection to your destiny does not mean she defines your future. It means she intersects it. God often uses intersections to redirect, confirm, or accelerate. Some people are not permanent fixtures in your life, but they are permanent markers in your story. Their role is not longevity, but alignment. Do not underestimate how God uses compassion as a key. Compassion is not weakness. It is spiritual authority expressed through love. Jesus moved with compassion before miracles occurred. Compassion aligned heaven with earth. When you move with compassion, you move in agreement with God's heart. There is also healing tied to obedience. God heals areas within you that you did not even know were wounded. When you choose love over fear, generosity over hesitation, obedience over comfort, something breaks internally. Old mindsets loosen. Past disappointments lose their grip. Faith rises quietly but powerfully. God is also watching how you steward influence, even if you do not see yourself as influential yet. Influence begins before visibility. How you treat people when nothing is at stake reveals how you will treat them when everything is. God entrusts influence to those who carry responsibility with humility. This is not about proving yourself. It is about trusting God. When you obey, you declare that God's wisdom is higher than your understanding. You align yourself with divine order, and divine order produces divine outcomes. You are closer than you think to the things you have been believing for. But closeness does not equal possession. Possession often requires alignment at the final stage. Many stand near promise but hesitate at obedience. God is inviting you to cross that final threshold. Let go of the need to fully understand. Let go of fear disguised as logic. Let go of hesitation masked as wisdom. Move with faith. Trust that God is ahead of you, beside you, and behind you. He has already prepared the way. This moment will not return in the same form. Divine moments rarely repeat identically. Honor it while it is present. Respond while the stirring is alive. Obedience now creates clarity later. God is shaping a version of you that can carry what is coming. He is expanding your capacity for responsibility, blessing, and impact. This moment is not small, it is formative. When you say yes to God's prompting, you step into alignment with heaven's agenda. And alignment always produces acceleration. What you do now will echo into future seasons in ways you cannot yet measure. Trust God. Move with obedience. Honor the assignment. Because when you align with God's timing, you do not just help someone else. You step directly into the flow of your own destiny.